Hello and welcome to all of our Gold viewers who are here with us today. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and one of the MCs here at Gold. And with me, back by popular demand, is Nikki Lee. Welcome, Nikki. It's so good to have you back here at Gold.
Thank you, Kristen. It's wonderful to be back. Gold is one of my favorite things.
And you are, of course, presenting at the upcoming Gold Lactation Online Conference of 2025, just around the corner next month, basically, or in a couple of weeks. And you have a very important topic. I can't wait for it. I have to tell you, I don't think we have ever talked about this, but it is so important. Lactation by numbers, calculating the value of human milk. Wow, that's phenomenal. I want to talk to you about that in just a moment. But first, I want to hear a little bit about you, your background. You are a nurse, an IBCLC, childbirth educator. You wear so many hats. So, Nikki, tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, I've been working in this field since 1975, so it gives me incredible foundation for the observations that I'm putting into this talk.
Hmm.
I started out as a nurse and then got interested in started out public health, intensive care, then switched into maternity, and then got into been working in breastfeeding since 1975. And then that started coming into my nursing practice. And then I got interested in related things like childbirth education and infant massage and craniosacral therapy. And then it's all been focused around breastfeeding and families since then.
What a
And I
beautiful
haven't looked
background.
back.
Yeah.
I still love it.
Yes, you're still seeing clients, you're still out there in the field doing, and you're an author. Tell us a bit about your books too here.
Well, I have a couple of books that I wrote from my heart. I mean, if you're going to write a book, you have to really be totally
Mm.
into it with your whole heart and soul. And so this one took about 10 years to write. It was modeled. There's a book that's a handbook for writing English. And the first author is Strunk, I believe. I forget the author or the second author, but it's like a little handbook and it's got everything about how to write English in a
Hmm.
very grammatical, accurate way. And so I had the model in my mind to write a book about breastfeeding for that, for families, because many of the breastfeeding books that are sold to new families are like 400 pages. Like, who's going to read anything like that when you're pregnant?
Especially with a new baby, right? Who has time?
Exactly. So this is 90 pages, and it's just like the essence of
Perfect.
everything. And it goes
Beautiful.
from pregnancy to toddlerhood. So
Yes.
um, I was really, and it's been tested. I mean, I gave it to pregnant people to read, and they gave me a feedback about it. So it's reliable and valid. So that's good. And then the other book, I've always been interested in complementary and alternative medicine. So I wrote a book about that, um, how to use it in our lactation practice. When we're working with pregnant families, you need to be thinking about so many other things, not just the nuts and bolts of baby breast, the nipple and the mother, all that is
Mhm.
sometimes it's not enough. Our basic lactation management isn't sufficient, and you need to bring in other things.
Right.
So that's where my heart has gone.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing. And you were so kind to donate some of these books to us. So during the lactation conference, we're giving them away to some lucky winners, right?
Yes,
That's exactly what
absolutely.
we're gonna do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about your upcoming presentation, lactation by number, calculating the value of human milk. And when you first presented this idea, and the first thing I was thinking is, wow, why don't we talk more about it? Why don't we talk about the milk as a commodity, as a value? Because we live in a society where we put value on things, right? We are living in an economy. We have certain standards. We like to put certain numbers on things, right? This is at least in our Western world, this is what surrounds us, and this is what people value. And I feel like once you add value to something and point it out, the numbers would be staggering. That was my first impulse when I saw this. So talk to me a little bit how you got this idea with this presentation.
I have been very passionate about breastfeeding all of my career. And I thought by the time I died that breastfeeding would be the cultural norm. And actually, we're now in worse shape than we were when I started. And we have an active competitor
Mm.
that's working to undermine breastfeeding in every country in the world, and they're doing a pretty good job at it, honestly. So it's not, there's more to breastfeeding and human milk than just the numerical value, but people don't even think about the numerical value. And when you're working with
Yeah.
legislators and all the other trappings of our systems, how they all work, bringing up and bringing numbers starts to be important. And when you look at the numbers, if you want to calculate the value, the numerical value of human milk, it blows our competitor off the face of the earth in terms of value. It's no one's ever really thought about it. And people don't have that as a foundation to feel strong and proud in it. We're all, oh, it gets even more complicated with the sociology and the patriarchy and all of those things that have an impact on our work. But we can feel grounded and proud that our product is fits any paradigm that you have for living in this world. Not only a capitalist paradigm, it also fits regenerative paradigms and ecological paradigms and reciprocal paradigms. So breastfeeding is truly universal everywhere. And I just want us to be aware of how powerful that is in every sphere of value that there can be.
And this is, I love this. I absolutely love this because this is shining a lens from a different, different sides on the topic of breast milk, because we often look at it as, obviously from a nutritional standpoint of feeding the baby, and that, but looking at it also from this side of it's ecologically, it's like it saves the planet, right? Like you don't have to produce anything or make anything in factories and such. It's good for the environment. It's good for mental health, for bonding between mom and baby, or and so much more, right? And so I think it is so valuable to look at this from all these different angles that we might not have thought about before, right? And of course the numbers are great because, as you mentioned before, if we want to make change and we want to talk to our legislators, make policies and such, it would be great to have these numbers in hand and tell them, look, these are the facts, these are the numbers. Look at what we're saving. Look at what we can do here with that. All right, and it gives us great ammunition also to have these numbers and figures. But as you mentioned, there is so much more to it than numbers and figures, and it's wonderful to shine that light on this, Nikki. It's really really fascinating. So, when you were working on your presentation, was there something? And I know you talked about this was one of the presentations. I mentioned it, and I hope I can say this here that you worked so hard on. This is like one of these big presentations for you. Poured all your love and knowledge and hard work into this. When you were working on this, what was there anything that particularly surprised you or stood out to you?
Well, no, I'm not really surprised at my own brain when I think things, but um, what I feel like I've done for myself is I'm a grown up now,
Mhm.
and I've been around and I've seen a lot, and that gives me the ability to have an opinion, to share my thoughts, to encourage other people who are evolving and emerging in this profession to remember things and to look at things a little differently. Um, it gave me a feeling of power, actually, and I wanted to convey that to people. I think that in our work with breastfeeding, we ourselves don't feel very powerful
Mhm.
because we're always fighting to be recognized, and so I want us we can tap into that again. Here's the real truth. To speaking truth always feels good. And it's very healing to be able to do that, to say, this is what's true. Okay, so one of the reasons that we have a global epidemic of diabetes is that we're not breastfeeding as a globe enough. And if you look at the cost, how much diabetes costs the globe versus how much money some people make with formula marketing, there's no comparison. I mean, the balance is shifted so terribly. And we need to be reminded of that. That was one of the things that inspired my passion when I first got
Mm,
in this field was, holy smokes, how can we not do this? Breastfeeding has never been more important to our planet than it is now.
yeah. I so can see the passion you have for this, Nikki. It is in your voice and your whole
Mhm.
being. This is absolutely beautiful. But I love what you said about speaking truth, and especially in these times, it can feel very lonely sometimes, right? As you mentioned, in this profession,
Lonely.
we work so hard, and but it can feel overwhelming because we don't have the massive financial power that some of these formula companies have for their marketing and such, or the connections, the political connections to make for implementing change and certain policies. So, but I love what you said there about it is healing to speak the truth there,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's absolutely beautiful. Yes, absolutely. So what steps would you say lactation consultant and advocates can take to introduce this economic and ecological argument in their breastfeeding advocacy? Where do you think, like, what do you hope our viewers will take away from this presentation, maybe
Oh.
that they can use in their practice, or when they go out in the world and do advocacy, or even in small ways to educate parents? How do you hope to see this implemented?
It's a big thing to educate a family. It's a really big thing. And all we can do is be the best in our own world that we can. It's too overwhelming to think, how do I change the world?
Hmm.
But remember that women hold up half the sky,
I
and
love
we
that.
do it with one hand because the other hand is holding our babies.
Oh, that's
There's enough
beautiful.
of us working in this arena that if we're speaking the truth with our clients, we tell them, we remind them of how they're contributing to their own health
Mm.
and how they're contributing to the health of the world around them. And we let them know that there's a value on what they're doing. If you wanted to calculate the value of the milk that you make, I did a search on this on the internet, and I found a whole thread about it where people were actually feeling really good. They never thought about, oh my gosh, the value of the milk I gave my baby was like $58,000 for the first
Yeah.
year. I mean, even though you don't have $58,000 in your pocket, you feel it energetically in your brain that it's not just the connection and the health and all the good things. It's got that kind of value to it coming from people thinking about money. So you give them numbers because it makes them feel strong. And it's also true.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. That is, what a wonderful way of looking at it, and what an empowering way to look at it too, to, feel good about, for the parent, what they're doing, and for us educators and lactation, IBCLCs and midwives, whoever in the field is educating, right, and talking about this to look at it from that sense. So, Nikki Lee, before I let you go, any final wise words here for our audience?
Oh, well, I guess to repeat, breastfeeding has never been more important for our planet and our species than it is now. And if that's the only thing that you take away, it's going to energize you in your work, you, Kristen, me, Nikki, everybody that watches this. And that is what I want to give to the world through gold.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much. I can't wait for your presentation, Lactation by Numbers, Calculating the Value of Human Milk. And it's so much more in that presentation as well than just calculating the value. I know, Nikki, you will speak about that as well in the presentation. And that presentation, thank you so much, Nikki, for being here with me today and talking to me about the wonderful work you're doing, your books, and the presentation here at Gold.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm happy to be here.
And some information now for our viewers. This presentation is part of the Gold Lactation online conference. We get started next month. It's just around the corner, really. So please check out goldlactation.com. You will find there also our keynote presentations. You can sign up for those as well. These keynote presentations are open access and available for free to everyone. So make sure you share these keynotes with your friends and colleagues in the field as well. And I can't wait to see everyone at the conference. So thank you so much for viewing this, and I see you next month. Bye bye, everyone.